Hey, everybody. Welcome. Capt Ron and Dieter Staudinger here tonight with our trick-or-treat version of Fearless Flight Live. So we're hope that if you are not out in a masquerade, you're here with us, and we'll try to give you some treats to help you get over your fear of flying. It's been a busy week. We had oh my gosh, the last couple weeks we did, of course, last week we talked about our event in Air Hollywood in California. Was a success after 5 years of not doing it. And then this past Sunday, we had a really successful Fearless Flight Overcoming Anxiety free webinar that we did, and had a lot of people show up for it. And several people are now members of our group here in the Fearless Flight 201. So welcome. We are glad to have you. This is the place you go if you have a fear of flying, or you know somebody who has a fear of flying, which represents about 2 out of 3 people in every group that you see standing around of 3 people. And then also people join us just to kind of keep up with the airline industry and what's going on out there in aviation. So Dieter and I are here to support you and answer your questions tonight. I was going to say something about Eric. Eric is off trick-or-treating, I guarantee you. He's big on his cul-de-sac, and he never misses that every year. He's right there with the kids, and it's kind of a fun thing to watch. So,
Yeah.
so
Just
that
these days, you have to be careful if you go as a loony pilot.
exactly, yeah, for sure. So let me open the slides here and get us going here. I have to do a little gyrating. Okay. Again, welcome to the show tonight. We have a success story I want to share with you, and I put a little piece together about reasons people don't overcome their flight anxiety. Aviation news updates. I thought I had something, but now I can't remember. So maybe you guys will have some questions, and we'll answer those before we go. We always, as you know, advertise our Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather private Facebook group. We encourage everybody out there, if you're not a member, please join. It's a great source for both support, giving and receiving for people out there. It is a great community of people like you who get it, who get you and understand what it's like to be afraid to fly. We get lots of comments and lots of requests. We get ideas for everything, content and programs and everything from you all out there doing the work of being afraid to fly. Had a success story this week. Well, she's just a continuing success. This is Marcia Schaefer wrote this to me today. I invited her to come on the show tonight, and she would have, had that not been one of the nights of the Arizona Diamondbacks are in the World Series, and she's a big fan. So she had a event to go watch the game there. So we encourage them and the Diamondbacks. But anyway, she wrote me today. She's so sweet, and she said, "Thank you, Capt Ron. I'm resting up and trying to think about where to fly next." And I just wrote back to her. I said, "How long has it been since you started? And did you ever anticipate that you would be trying to think of other places to fly?" And I said, there's people out there that would kill to have this question or this problem in their life. And she talks about going to Hawaii and going to Denver and all that. She wants to go overseas again, back to the UK and all that. And I just said, thanks, Marcia. I love it. And I love any of you and all of you who take the time to give us such thoughtful feedback. And Marcia's just a great friend and friend of Fearless Flight for sure. Had a technical question. Says, new to the group, downloaded the harmonizer. I'm sure I'm asking a question that has been asked before. I feel way more comfortable listening to audio than watching video. And that's why we did the harmonizer in the first place. Pardon me, I will be interrupted by coughs here. And Dieter was commenting earlier that the coughs seem to be filtered out by the artificial intelligence in Zoom there. So hopefully I won't blow your eardrums out. I'm on the second week of this thing. I hope that it's going to wane this week. But anyway, so here's the person says, I'm asking the question. As been asked before, I'm more comfortable listening to audio than watching video. I frequently have my eyes closed because I'm praying. So reading on the plane is never going to happen. Okay. My question is, do you just play the harmonizer repetitively? I'm going to be flying for 18 hours total, not leaving until January, just trying to be prepared. Absolutely. What you do is you get the harmonizer. Oh, I'm gonna get this thing over here. Come on. Okay. You put the harmonizer on, and I halfway joke, but when I do coaching students and I get somebody that's with me and they only got 24 hours or 48 hours or less than a week to go, I recommend a coaching session, and if you have time for nothing else, and I recommend the harmonizer. And I tell them, if you're going from Phoenix to Chicago and it's 3.5 hours, you divide that by 30 minutes because that's about what the harmonizer runs. You got 7 times on the way to Chicago. And I said, you just keep playing that over and over and make that your goal. Rarely do I hear anybody who has to play it the whole time, because usually once they get into the first 15 to 20 minutes of the flight, they calm down somewhat. But the harmonizer is designed to just to dominate that little and quiet that voice in your head that just keeps spewing those negative thoughts. And so, somewhat lightheartedly, I say, when you get so sick and tired of listening to my voice and the voice of the other people that accompany me on the harmonizer, that you want to strangle us, now you know you're getting better, right? Because now you're thinking of other thoughts up there. But that is the way to do it. And I've had so many people over the 20 plus years that I've been offering that to people tell me that is the best thing that they could have done on short notice in particular, and long notice too. I have people that listen to it once a day just as kind of a meditative thing there. You get it, you listen to it at night, in the morning, in its entirety, and then during the day as you're leading up to your trip, you listen to it whenever your anxiety starts to get triggered. What you do is you put it on if you can, and you don't have to listen to the whole 30 minutes when you're practicing at home and you get triggered. But it's helpful to listen to it just long enough until you notice your attention coming back to you, because that's obviously what happens during for people who are afraid to fly. Your attention gets hijacked, and we just can't have that. So, okay, let me go back one slide. Come on. Okay, so that answers that. I do want to say a quick thing about the harmonizer as well. I have people from time to time say, hey, can I just get the audio harmonizer with you? And we have not broken it up to make it possible to do that. But here's the deal. If you join the Fearless Flyer Club and you join at the first class level, $57 for even 1 month, we'd like to have you stay on as a member. We totally believe that overcoming a fear of flying is a process, and you need support down the road. And it's the club has been hugely popular. We get a group of people on the third Thursday of every month, and we talk to them live. I present some kind of an educational piece on there, and then we talk about real problems that real people are having. So I recommend that you join. But if you join at the first class level, you get the harmonizer for free. Okay, so you didn't hear it here. Don't tell Ron that I told you you can get it for free that way. But if you join for 1 month, and you can cancel the membership at any point after that. We hope you don't, but that's how positively we believe in the coaching process. And so I wanted to mention that to you all tonight. Okay.
Ron,
yeah,
let me just add something to that as well. Yes, it's true that the Fearless Flight kit comes as a package, and there are actually 7 files in there, and they're really designed to work together. Yes, it's the harmonizer, the one that has all the crazy audio and on it that you really want to be focusing on ultimately, but it's an entire package. And so taking one ingredient out of a kit, it's like taking one ingredient out of a recipe. It wouldn't be the same recipe. So I just want to say that question does come up often. And go into the Birds of a Feather group if you are curious. There's a lot of people who have used it successfully we have had thousands of people actually use it successfully, but it is part of an approach, an attitude, something, of how to approach that. And like Ron said, right now you could get started and start listening to the harmonizer for $57. That's it. So I also put the link already in the chat, so go check it out.
Okay. I was trying to share my phone, but it didn't work. So we'll just put it back up there. But here it is it comes with the Zenler app, and you can stream it and you can get access to it free and easy. Okay. All right. So let's talk about just a little bit of fear flying here tonight. We're gonna I just put a piece together called 10 Reasons People Don't Overcome Flight Anxiety. And we'll talk about those. Those have been coming up both in the Air Hollywood experience that we had a couple of weeks ago. And then we oriented the free webinar to overcoming flight anxiety this past Sunday. And it's sad that people don't, but these are some of the primary reasons that it happened. You all know that one of the most perplexing thing to me is not why people are afraid to fly, but why they could fly at one point in their lives and then have a dilemma or experience problems flying later. And often it's because they had a traumatic flight or some kind of event that made an impression on them related to flying. And it doesn't even have to be related to flying. People have had trauma in their lives, and when you have trauma in your history, your brain makes a snapshot of that, and it remembers the emotional makeup that went around that event. And sometimes the sights, the sounds, and the sensations in flying can trigger that. So a key point to remember is traumatic experiences can leave lasting fears in your brain here. Fear of the unknown. The brain does not like uncertainty. And if you haven't flown often or at all, the unfamiliar sights, sounds, and sensations and procedures can be anxiety-inducing. What's that sound? What's going on? What's that feeling? Everything from acceleration on takeoff to liftoff, being pushed down in the seat, to turbulence and the fear of falling. A fear of the unknown can prevent them from becoming comfortable with the idea of flying because there are so many of those. So the thing to remember is being unfamiliar with flying processes can be daunting. That's why we recommend education, which is going to come up here again. Fear of losing control. This is probably the fundamental bottom line issue with people who are afraid to fly, just not feeling in control. And gosh knows there's few things on the planet that we do that are more evident where you surrender control to the pilots, to the crew, to the mechanics, to the people who design the airplane, to anybody involved in the process of a commercial flight. And you surrender and this feeling of not being in control can be deeply unsettling. So surrendering control can be something that it becomes intolerable for people. And then there's the media. We've done webinars on and monthly coaching sessions on how to approach media influence and stories. And new stories, whether it's about plane crashes or things sometimes that seem remotely connected to flying, although they're rare, they're highly publicized because they are so rare, and they lead to an inflated perception of what the risks are in flying. And the reason flying is so safe, it's just the opposite. It's because we are so aware of the risks and we prepare for them in such a grand way. So the high publicity of rare events can skew one's perception, and you can become afraid of things that really are unwarranted. Claustrophobia, of course, that's a common fear. And we've been embellishing in the last month or two the notion of a subset of this called claustrophobia. Claustrophobia. It's spelled CLEITHROPHOBIA. And what it means, and more succinctly captures for fearful flyers, is the fear of being trapped with no way out, which describes perfectly what happens when they close the door. And they move away from the gate and you lift off the airplane. Your brain knows that you can't pull off the side of the road at 35,000 feet. And so claustrophobia or claustrophobia, it takes over at that point. So being afraid of things for such an extended period of time is unbearable for some people. And that's actually grown in proportion over the last 36 years that I've been doing this. And what worse place to experience that than in the confined space of a plane, who now, as the airlines have continued to try to improve the yield in revenue off of every flight by reducing what they call the seat pitch, or the distance between the seats. So all that works together against you to do that. I've touched on, touched on the physical sensations. Specifically, we talked about the sights and sounds and sensations, but it's the physical sensations that I believe trigger about 90% of people's reactions to being in an airplane. Turbulence, there's changes in pressure that affects your ears, acceleration, G-forces can be not only uncomfortable, but for alarming, reinforcing that sense of dread that something is wrong. And nothing could be further from the truth. It's just the routine operations of a normal commercial airline flight. So the thing to remember is turbulence and pressure changes can be alarming, but they're not life-threatening, or not in any way threaten the safety of flight. Panic attacks. This falls into the another large thing that sometimes people complain about as a specific fear, and that is anticipatory anxiety. Fear of being afraid, we might say, but I've taken that to another level. It's not only fear of being afraid, it's fear of the feelings that you have experienced before, that they're real to you. We've never tried to tell anybody that the fear that you feel is not real. It's just not rational. And so having a fear of a panic attack is debilitating for many people. And it's what keeps people from getting on and causes some people to get off. So people who have experienced panic attacks in the past are definitely susceptible to having the fear that they'll be in a situation that they can't escape and it'll be replicated. And having the fear of having panic in an inescapable place is very, very powerful to people who suffer from that. This is a really important thing to note, and that is avoidance reinforcement. So many of you out there, you will do anything to avoid flying, and if you choose to do that to avoid your anxiety, or worse, get on the airplane and then deplane, you're going to feel an immediate sense of relief. You're going to get all of the chemical benefits, the release of endorphins, and your mind says, thank God we pulled that off. And this relief, however, is short-lived. And what happens right after that, it reinforces the avoidance behavior, making it harder to confront and overcome the fear in the future. And not only that, but it says there was a reward in that, and it gives you, even though shortly after that, most people experience shame and embarrassment and disappointment that they had to get off. So avoiding the fear provides temporary relief, but it introduces and reinforces the fear of avoidance in the future. Lack of knowledge. This is why the fundamental part of the fearless flight method is to educate oneself about flying and fear, and understanding how planes work, in rigorous training that pilots and flight crew go through, the rigorous controls and the regulations and the compliance that's required, and the strict safety regulations, having them all in place can help alleviate some fears. It can help remove the myths that some people have about flying that are not based anywhere in fact. And however, not everybody has this information. And if you don't seek this out, either through self-study or coming to a place like Fearless Flight, you're going to be limited and you're going to be suffering from things that may be bothering you that are not relevant at all. So the thing to remember is not knowing the safety measures and how airplanes work can cause you to feel fear about that. And then what's really, really important is not having coping strategies. Not everyone has been equipped with the tools or strategies to cope with anxiety. forget about whether you're a pilot or whether you've had training in aviation or anything like that. The average person, we vary from person to person. Some people are more sensitive to others. Some people have a predisposition to anxiety, and are left with fewer coping strategies. And that is one of the key elements of the Clear for Takeoff programs, or the Fearless Flight programs and Clear for Takeoff 201 course, is to provide people with effective coping mechanisms, because it's challenging to confront and overcome flight anxiety if you don't have the tools to cope with that. And without the tools, confronting your fear becomes virtually impossible. So the secret to overcoming flight anxiety is educating yourself, exposure to the forces on flight. That means sooner or later you got to get on the doggone airplane, and joining a sense of community like we've established here at Fearless Flight. Those are the keys that will go to help you overcome your fear and leave it on the ground forever. And you can talk to anybody in the group there. You'll find many people who have been through our classes, through the program, through the courses, that will support that and support you in your efforts. Okay. Before I leave this and we go back to the main.
Hold on, Ron, we got a question here.
Okay.
Can you go back just a couple of slides?
Sure.
I don't know the slide number, just so we have it on the screen.
You remember which one?
One more. There. Avoidance reinforcement. So the question was, are you saying that every time I have gone off a flight, I have actually made it worse for myself, and I'm in a bigger hole now than I used to be? So that was the question.
Yeah, I would say look to yourself. Do you find yourself the next time you're faced with the opportunity to fly, you find it harder to get up for that? Because the book answer is absolutely. Because if you get off because of anxiety and fear of flying, you definitely get the same relief that you would if you what are some other things in life? If you had a milkshake or something like that, you're going to get endorphins produced that are going to give you temporary relief. And the key is it's temporary. It doesn't last. And so when you get done with that quick relief, usually you feel badly because you had some event that for which you were flying in the first place that now you feel disappointed. You may be disappointing other people, and now it makes it seems like it's more out of reach than it was before. Okay.
Let me just add something to that, Ron, because we certainly don't. So this is not about shaming you for having gotten off. What I really want to, kind of like add to Ron's statement is, we've had people in our flight classes actually in the past decide that it wasn't their day to fly. And so what I would recommend to you, well, the thing I would really recommend to you is sign up for the Clear for Takeoff 201 online course. This course has 10 hours of content. It's geared to help you not only get more knowledge, but also really have a positive reinforcement loop that you're starting to practice. But aside from that, even if you don't do anything with Fearless Flight, the next time you're on a flight, make this and you realize, change the way internally how you deal with the situation. Okay, instead of, oh my God, I can't do this, I have to get off, I can't do this, I have to get off, oh my God, I have to get off. Just take a breath, ask the flight attendant, and literally just put it on a piece of paper. That's my recommendation to you, because in the moment you're probably a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, and put it on a paper and say, okay, this is in case it's not my day to fly today. And then I would recommend to you really take in the whole environment, all the people, the full plane, because probably a lot of people are going to be looking at you. Just take it all in and say, you know what? I'm making a choice today. I know I'm getting off just like all the other times, but today I'm making a decision and I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a new decision. And with that, you're going to walk off. So rather than being a victim and, reinforce that avoidance, now you have something to come back to. And obviously we're biased. We would recommend that you, at the very least attend each week of our Fearless Flight live show. At the very least, get all the other free resources, and then work your way up. Have a plan for the next time you do go on.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would add.
First thing we teach is we recommend the harmonizer, and even before that, if you ever have any struggles with anxiety or anything like that, take a breath. And we have a list of actionable tasks that we recommend. And the first one is to go to your stopwatch function on your mobile device and start it and use that to breathe in for 4 and out for 6. Those are things, some of the things that you can do. And regardless of where you're at, just consider coming to one of the monthly coaching sessions. Like I said, you're going to get it's an easy way, a cheap way to get the Fearless Flight Kit. And it's a way to start moving towards a greater understanding and a greater sense of learning. So all the things that Dieter said, notwithstanding, if you want to move yourself out of the victim, from feeling like you failed to saying, you know what, it's not a failure. It's just that today wasn't the day to fly, and I'm going to come back and do it in the future. When we've had classes where people have come, and we've had occasionally we've had people who decided that wasn't their day to fly. Every other person, or every person's been through that. They either, when they come back to the next time we fly, or they fly on their own, they get on the airplane the next time. So it's just about conceiving a positive attitude and giving yourself some skills to do that, and a change of attitude there. So, all right, speaking of the monthly webinar, this is the next one coming up. We're going to start drilling down deeper on flight anxiety. We got a good start with the free webinar last weekend, and we're 3023. I doubt whether I'll be here from that, but that's 2023, obviously. But November 16th, that would be the third Thursday coming up in November, and we'd love to see as many of you as we can, especially if you've never been there before. Give us a chance and tune in. It's a really safe, low-cost way to start on your path to overcoming your fear. Pardon me. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna put that up real quick. We're gonna take any questions that may be lingering out there, and I'm gonna give myself a break and cut this a little bit shorter tonight before I entertain any of you with calling 911 or something like that. So if I don't know, if Dieter, if you have any other questions that have surfaced.
Hold on, I just have, well, you may or may not see me. I'm not sure what happened there with my camera.
We don't see you.
Yeah, that's okay. I have some kind of like a camera failure apparently. Okay. Not to worry. There was one other question concerning the Cleared for Takeoff 201 course. So the Fearless Flight Kit, you can purchase the Fearless Flight Kit on its own. So you don't have to go into the Fearless Flyer Club membership. It's a standalone product. Just go to our website, and you can learn a lot more about the Fearless Flight Kit there. You can also learn about the Cleared for Takeoff 201 online course, and that's our flagship course. We used to do that. Yeah, happy Halloween. I have activated my ghost mode, Jim Duke says, and that seems to be true. But the 201 is the class that we used to do the full day before the 301 flight class, and the pandemic gave us the opportunity to transition that to the cloud. And We have 4 modules in there and a total of 10 plus hours of content, which ranges to addressing claustrophobia, to flying over water, to, what happens, turbulence, obviously, your own airworthiness, the airworthiness of airplanes. So really, this is probably the most comprehensive course. And if you know any course that's more comprehensive, please let us know. We're definitely curious. But that's really what we recommend if you have 60 days or more before your next flight, because that's really the foundation that you will need. The Fearless Flight Kit is designed to get you flying and help you with dealing with what's coming up. And obviously it works really, really great if you have just a couple of days before your next flight. But ultimately, Ron and I say this all the time. The pain in your brain is not about the plane. And I can't stress this enough, because so many people after our Hollywood class have come up to us and said, do you know what? I've been going through the 201 and I've really noticed changes about other things that I had a lot of anxiety about in my life, And so this is not just about your fear of flying. Your fear of flying is about something else. It's just been transferred to, like Ron said, loss of control is usually the biggest trigger, but there are many others as well. So if you can, do the 201, and if you have a flight coming up, tomorrow or in the next couple of days, go for the Fearless Flight Kit. And the best option is doing that via our Fearless Flyer Club, the first class tier. So that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Dieter. And when you if you can't think of anything else and you haven't done it, please consider doing a free 15-minute coaching session with me. We'll have the links in the show notes afterwards, and I'll help you take inventory and find out what would be the most appropriate thing for you to do. So with that, I'm going to take my there you go. Hey, you made it back. So with
it's
that,
not a good trick if you can't actually come back from the trick, right? So
yeah, there you go. Yeah. And so we're going to sign off now, and I'm going to go nurse myself a little bit more and hopefully be a little bit better next week. So I want to thank you. Thanks, Dieter. And thank all of you for watching us this week and every week that you do. We love the support that you give us, and we love giving the support back to you. So until next week and the next episode of Fearless Flight Live, Capt Ron and Dieter Staudinger saying good night. Have a great week and happy Halloween.